this many years later, where would you like to see Reggie and Sam at in this new world? I try to ask something different.
Hopefully still alive. Yeah, maybe we're working on repopulating that Earth. DMK and Hector.
DMK is kind of the type who would have left me for the little Asian girl when she got old enough.
You might have seen her in The Last Starfighter, Weekend at Bernie's, and of course, Night of the Comet. Catherine Mary Stewart, come on down. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
And, of course, the other half of the wonderful team in that movie, who you've also probably seen in Chopping Mall, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, we have Kelli Maroney.
Hi. I should stand up. Hello. There you all are.
Okay, we can do a standing panel. What's that? You do need to use those, or else I can't hear you. Plus we're recording, so
Okay.
anything you can say can be used against you in a court of law.
This could be dangerous.
And he's recording. You're all over. The cameras are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
So, how are you guys enjoying RetroCon?
It's so much fun.
We're having so much fun. I mean, it's been really busy, and everybody is super nice, and it does have that sort of feeling of a small con, you know?
Small town people are being, they're polite and they're friendly and not superficial.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not, like in a lot of the cons, you sort of get lost in the crowd, kind of. There's just so much going on, but with this one, you feel really a part of it. That's how I feel anyway.
That is awesome. Even if you almost got kidnapped last night, I understand. But
What?
That's true.
I didn't know about this.
The driver took a back road, and it looked kind of scary.
It's Get Murdered Road, yeah. Get Murdered
So,
Road.
Night of the Comet, awesome film. I watched it and loved it. I just want to know, what was your initial reaction to learning the premise of the film? What was and of course, what was the audition process like for such a thing? So, do you want to start, Kelli?
Sure, why not? I love the script. It read a lot funnier than it actually played, because when we were acting it, there's an element of seriousness to it, but when you're just reading it, it was a scream, and I read it on the plane. And then it was still called Teenage Comet Zombies, not Teenage Comet Zombies. And I was laughing to myself like a crazy person. You know how you're doing that on a plane? It was so funny, but then when we actually played it, it wasn't funny.
Well, there were definitely funny bits. Yeah, for sure.
But like no one around, and all of a sudden it wasn't funny that I was never going to have a boyfriend. Yeah, that scene was. I was rolling on the floor, and then I played it. I was, wait a second, because that would bother me right now today. So that'd be a serious issue. The audition process. We just went in and read for the producers and the director, and then we read with different actresses, and nothing out of the ordinary, I don't think.
No, wasn't it? But we didn't read with each other.
No, we didn't read with each other.
So when we were cast, when I heard that I was cast, they said, come to the studio, we're going to do some photos. And I was surprised that it was Kelli, because the person that I read with was not Kelli.
It was Heather Langenkamp.
Yeah, Langenkamp. So that was interesting, but...
And the blonde, I don't know why they were... I think it was Tom Eberhard had this thing where we had to have the same hair color, which is true on television, sort of. But in the movies,
in real life, but...
In the movies, it's better if they're contrasting. As he explained it to me later, having done a complete 180, he goes, it's like in... Carol Lombard. Well, anyway, the sisters, one is very dark and one is very light. So that's cinematic, as opposed to television, which is, you want them to look as much like each other as possible. But, today, we'd still be doing chemistry reads, because they would be so afraid to make a mistake. We never read together. They'll be fine. Yeah. And that was the end of that.
Yeah, and it worked out really well. And one of the reasons I really liked the script was because I was always like, everything I played was always like the girl next door kind of a thing. And then this character was such a change from all that. And I felt like it was more like me, actually.
I was shocked to hear that because I always thought Reg was I always thought of you as more like a tomboy kind of person.
Right, well, that's sort of but they look sort of physically at you, and I don't know, I sort of have a girl next door sort of face,
very
I think.
Pretty, that's why. Very beautiful.
Anyway, yeah.
So that was the first time you guys had actually met, was on that, and look at you here a few years later.
A few years later.
Just a couple.
Just a couple
years, you know.
And by the way, if you raise your hands, if you have questions, please, there's no better way to show your love for these two lovely ladies than to ask them deep, dark, personal questions. So please, raise your...
This is going to get weird.
A quick question. How many Uzis do you both own now? I'm just curious.
You know, I found an Uzi. It looks a lot like an Uzi on Amazon. And I'm just afraid we're always going to get stopped at the airport. I'm afraid it's going to be a terrible
Yeah, even if it's... But actually, in the movie, they were Mac 10s. They weren't Uzis.
This was more like a Mac.
But Daddy
would have got us Uzis.
This looks like what we were holding. It looks more like a Mac 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they won't deliver it to California or New York.
Right. I tried to get it too.
Reasons.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The jerks.
So we don't own any to answer that question.
Okay.
You're in Pennsylvania. We'll hook you up. This gentleman over here.
Hello. I just wanted to know, how was it working with Hector Robert Beltran?
Wonderful. Hector. It was great. He was super sweet, really fun. He was like the last guy on Earth, supposedly. So we both had crushes on him.
Well, I thought... What did I say? He's not the best, but
he's the last guy on Earth.
Considering what's left.
Yeah, something like that.
Derogatory about him.
Yeah. No, he was great. He was really sweet. I think he was hesitant about doing this movie because it was such a weird movie, but he was talked into it. And
Mary Warnoff.
Mary Warnoff and he are really, really good friends. And she was going to do it. So I think that might have had something to do with it as well.
His thing was he didn't want to be a stereotype. So, and I don't think he was. I mean, people have remarked to us that it's really L.A. where there really are Hispanic people, you know, people from Mexico, which there are in Los Angeles.
Big population, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, he was great. To answer your question, he was wonderful.
Yeah, he was very, very polite and
very sweet. He had that buttery voice.
Yeah, and very quiet.
Love it.
My Man Godfrey. I couldn't think of that.
Yeah, My Man Godfrey. That was the movie we were talking about.
Blonde.
Excellent. We have another gentleman over here with a question. Who's willing to meet you part way?
So you both get to have some really fun moments in this film. Like there are a lot of great scenes. What was your most fondest scene to film, or the moment you had the most fun doing?
For me, it was the alley scene with the zombie where I come out and I pick up the wrench and I go, oh, gross. And then the zombie shows up and I get to fight him, which was also super fun for me. That was all me. The zombie was a stunt guy, so I felt like I was in pretty good hands. But again, I was sort of a tomboy. I had a dance background, so I knew that I was flexible and I could sort of take care of myself and all that junk. And then running and getting on the motorcycle. But that's where I end, and the stunt girl takes off in the motorcycle, unfortunately.
They're heavy, those motorcycles.
They're really heavy. I tried holding one up one time, and I fell over because it was so heavy. But anyway, yeah, that was my favorite.
I tried to talk the producers into letting me play Reg because of that scene. And they're like, we'll let you read it only because we've been actors before. And so I read it. They said, great, but, you're Samantha. Sorry. You're Samantha. And they were right.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
My favorite thing was the radio station, I think, solo, that we did together probably, even though it was late and long and everything, probably the shopping mall center.
Oh, the shopping mall was super fun because it was a lot of ad-libbing. And we didn't even know what the music was going to be at that point. So all the stuff in the store with Ivan... you know, and the box boy guy, and you know, whatever he was saying. It was super fun. That whole thing was really fun.
It was. I got to throw a television. I really threw that television.
Yeah, we were shooting. Things were being thrown. Shoes were being thrown at us.
We went nuts that night. We were all punchy anyway from it being a night shoot, and we had kind of permission to go, and we took it. It was just like
they sort
really
of shut down this store for us, and we got to, you know.
It was really out of control.
It was really fun though,
and all the guys too on the crew too. They love when guns are going to go off. So they're all around because they love it.
They love all that stuff.
And they like to yell, fire in the hole. Right? Yeah. We live for that, to yell that. So everybody was happy.
We had so much fun. Just everything. I loved the dialogue. I loved them putting the makeup on and you doing the fashion show. What do you think? This one or this one? Oh, that one. That'll stay in fashion longer, of course. That's
important.
It's important.
Absolutely. So if you could revisit these roles, like, this many years later, where would you like to see Reggie and Sam at in this new world? I try to ask something different.
Hopefully still alive. Yeah, maybe we're working on repopulating that Earth. DMK and Hector.
DMK is kind of the type who would have left me for the little Asian girl when she got old enough. Samantha kind of has to be alone. That's her whole thing, is I'm all by myself, right? So I think she would have maybe been a single mom and had her cheerleading outfit in the closet and tried to give it to her daughter. Her daughter couldn't care less. And we just have all these, we have to repopulate, but then we don't know what happened. I mean, California's not the only place with survivors, so we don't know. There was one that was called Sam and Reg Hit the Road, which would have been fun.
Yeah, Sam and Reg Hit the Road.
I think somebody said, and you're kind of like a constable, so you drive the police car around and make sure nobody's, there's no hijinks going on. I said, well, where's the gas coming from all these years later? There's too many things you can't think about. Well, you couldn't think about the first one too hard, but the second one you really can't think about it too hard.
A lot of theatrical license going on here.
Well, you mentioned the DMK, so that final scene when that car drives away with DMK and Sam, what do you think Reggie's reaction was seeing that license plate?
She didn't see it.
I didn't. Oh, no, you know what? I did see it, but it didn't click.
You didn't care. Yeah, you didn't care anymore.
It didn't click. I was like, that looks familiar, but I didn't put
That's how much she's changed.
I didn't put the DMK with the game, so... But I have a feeling that night I would wake up in the middle of the night going, oh yeah, DMK. Something like that.
I could see it as an after credit scene. Maybe you got the machine working again and it's like, son of a...
Yeah, right. Damn him.
So more questions out there, please. We got one right back there. I see that.
The whole thing about that was to show how much we'd changed, how much she'd grown into a different person, and how much, I mean, I went from, you're going to leave me, to, bye.
See, yeah, exactly.
All the things. Maybe that's why people like it, because all the change, we go through a lot of changes.
Yeah, for sure. We
evolve.
Metamorphose, or what you say. We morph.
Hi, Catherine. Hi, Kelli.
Hi.
Nice to see you both.
Thank you.
Welcome. I was going to say, this is a pretty straightforward question. I know Night of the Comet took place around Christmas time, and while there's a whole debate of is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not, well, would you in any way consider Night of the Comet a Christmas movie, like one you'd watch at Christmas time?
Yes,
absolutely. Are you kidding? It's a total Christmas movie. Didn't you see Santa Claus? Hector was Santa Claus, for God's sake.
Christmas music. I have a wreath.
Yeah. It really does put me in the Christmas spirit. I'll say that.
Totally. And that's something that I realized way later. Yeah, it didn't even occur to me really. And also, when you're living in California, it's Christmas. It may as well just be summer. It's not that much different. So, it's like, oh, there's Santa Claus, and it's not like we're in the snow or something like that. But yeah, for sure. It was set around Christmas. And we shot it around Christmas.
We did. We shot on Christmas Day. That's how we got nobody there for the downtown stuff.
Downtown LA, that was really abandoned. I mean, you could never do that nowadays. I mean, you just couldn't, because it's like the hot place to live now. So a lot of residential stuff. But we shot Christmas Day downtown LA, and it was that abandoned, which is amazing when you think about it.
We had window washers, though. In those days, you couldn't CGI somebody out. And they were looking at it, and all of a sudden, one of the producers starts swearing. And I was like, what happened? He goes, window washers. He killed the whole shot. And the other, nobody's going to notice that. He goes, yes, they are. But then he sort of came to it, because he also said to me one time, it was the dog leash, you know? I said, I had the dog leash on, and now I don't have it. And he said, people love to find that stuff.
Yeah.
So who cares? It's funny, just do it. But then, on the other hand, window washers. People are so weird.
But that whole Fluffy, is it Fluffy the dog?
No, Muffy.
Muffy the dog. That whole thing was added.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was like just sort
messing around.
Just messing around. It wasn't there at first if you look at the film. And then she walks back in, she goes, Muffy? And there's like ashes or something on the ground. But there were a lot of instances like that. Even when the daddy would have got us Uzi's line, that was ad-lib. That was because the MAC-10s kept jamming.
Basically designed for housewives.
They said they were, the MAC-10 submachine gun is basically designed for housewives. But the whole thing that became was when we first met each other, we went to the studio and had a photo taken with our dad, who was actually, the Green Beret was Tom Eberhardt, the director, writer. And so when you see us in or I guess it's your scene, you see, whatever, in the house, there's a picture of us. Mm-hmm. And Tom Eberhardt in real life, let's see if I can make this make sense, in real life wanted Uzis. Yes. But the producers wouldn't let him do Uzis because Uzis were too expensive. So he had to deal with these MAC-10s, which kept jamming. So in this one scene where we're shooting the car up, they were jamming and jamming. And Tom said to her, say, Daddy would have got us Uzis.
I was supposed to be shooting up the car, and it jammed every single time. And I thought his head was going to explode.
Yeah, but it was kind of like this double entendre because he was our father in the picture. Yeah. So Daddy would have got us Uzi. It was a little dig to the producers.
It was a big dig. I said, I don't want to get in trouble because you're mad, because I would like to work for these people again. I wasn't that eloquent about it. But that's what I meant.
But ultimately, it's like the line of the movie. Everybody remembers that line.
You can tell that it's real. He goes, okay, I'll tell you what to say. He goes, the next time it happens, and it will, I'm not going to cut. And I want you to say, see, that's the problem with these things. Daddy would have gotten us Uzis. And then I want you to walk up disgusted. I said, all right, I can do that.
That I could do. Yeah.
And it must have been extremely gratifying because you only had like a $700,000 budget, but you made like $14 million over the first 3 weeks. I mean,
we didn't.
Oh, you didn't, or else you probably wouldn't be here today. Somebody did, but the movie did overall. So we had a question right here.
Hey, Catherine. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Questions for Catherine. For in the movie, you're really into playing this video game over and over again, making sure you're getting the high score.
Yeah,
Do you find yourself in real life that you actually are a bit of a gamer or a competitive gamer or anything like that? And my second question, too, was at the end of the last Starfighter, it seemed like they were setting up a little bit more story to tell, especially with your character. Mm-hmm. Like, do you know, were they setting up to do like maybe a sequel and have you do more in the movie as well?
Well, for the first question, I really wasn't much of a gamer. I hate to admit that, but there was really nothing on the screen. And the director was just saying, okay, and there's, if you notice, they shot my feet a lot, and they were like over my shoulder.
Feet. Yeah.
So it was just kind of fun playing it and using my imagination. I don't even think they knew exactly what game they were going to do.
I don't think so.
So, it was just, talk about, theatrical license. In the last Starfighter, they left it wide open for a sequel. And they have been talking about doing a sequel for years, over a decade, I would say. Nick Castle, the director, took Lance Guest and me out for lunch one day and was describing sort of his idea of what it might be. And I would say, I don't know, 5 or 7 years ago, Jonathan Betchwell, the original writer, got the rights back from Universal. And he has a script, and he's been trying to sell it around. So we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that, something will come of it before we're the grandparents of the last Starfighter.
Are you Ripley?
Yeah.
That's gonna, how these trends happen. So
yeah, with any luck, and what would be so great about it would be that Jonathan Betchwell, the original writer, would be in charge of the script, and hopefully Nick Castle would be involved. So it would stay true to the original concept, which is important.
The next to the last Starfighter.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other questions here? We have one right there.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
I just watched the movie for the first time. So I have a question. You have a very female-centric video. And how do you think that compares to movies that came out in the 80s? Because when I watched it, I was like, how have I never seen this movie before? Because I loved it that the two of you were the stars of this movie. Yeah. So how do you think that lines up with all the other movies, like the Gremlins? They were always male-centric, and even if they had a horror or a comedy flair, they were always being pushed first, in my opinion. So how do you think your movie ranks with the movies from that decade?
Well, I mean, I think movies in general have always been male-centric. Mm-hmm. The powers that be think that that's what the formula should be, which is sad because it's very limiting. And I know when I read this script, it really didn't occur to me that this was a female-driven movie. And
this is weird.
It was so much later, starting to do conventions and things, when I realized, young women would come up and say this was such influence on my childhood and really empowered me in lots of ways. And at the same time, lots of guys as well loved it. So this whole idea that movies have to be male-centric, and then the girl is like, oh, help me and save me, guy. I mean, Alien, the original Alien, is a wonderful version of having a female-centric, powerful woman. But yeah, I'm really, again, at the time, I didn't really think about it, but I'm really so happy that it's kind of had this ongoing influence, I guess, for a lot of the audience. It's kind of gratifying.
Yeah, but I had a unique experience, so it didn't occur to me that, because all the women and producers on the soaps were women, and I had this really flashy character who was a plot pusher. So, and then it didn't occur to me that it was unusual that we were the leads at all. And then, so I did a couple of Final Girls. And boy, I was in for a wake-up call when reality set in, and I wasn't always the final girl, like in the 90s. I'm like, wait a second, because, I can't just stand there next to the guy and be the girlfriend. First of all, nobody believes that. They're waiting for me to do something. So, yeah, we really didn't know, but when somebody comes up and says, I showed you, especially dads, I showed your movie to my daughter because I wanted her to see, it never even crosses your mind to wait for somebody to rescue you, and that's how I want her to be. I mean, you just tear up.
Yeah, it is. It's really a nice feeling.
And Sam, from what I understand, was the inspiration for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who is quite the that doesn't wait to be saved by anybody.
Well, yeah, I think it's probably the both of us because we.
Yeah, you're definitely.
We're both snotty in this.
But without giving up sort of a sense of, we were like teenage Valley girls basically, but we didn't give up the sense of, we owned our feminine side. I want to say we weren't trying to be macho girls. We were just girls that, can you believe it? They can actually look after themselves. Well, yeah, that's how we live every single day as women, But,
that was a big honor, though. They called me and asked me to be in his biography and stuff, and I said, I've never met him, And he said, well, that's okay. We don't care. So,
Joss Whedon?
Buffy, yes.
Joss Whedon.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
was-
because you were a huge influence physically and all that stuff. I mean, maybe the personality was a bit of a combination. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm sure. I wasn't in this movie by myself.
Thanks.
You guys were the perfect team, I have to say. And we're going to end that perfectly right here. Give them both a big round of applause. Catherine Mary
you
Stewart,
guys.
Kelli Maroney, awesome movie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Be sure to visit them at their tables.
This is Ross Marquand, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight, which is awesome. So like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.